Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
Let me tell you about Buzzsprout. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message to the world. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. We use Buzzsprout now, and it's been a game changer for us. All new analytics, tools, and resources, all these different things that we did not have before. So upgrade to Buzzsprout. Follow the link in our show notes, and let Buzzsprout know we sent you.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Films and Fermentation. This is episode 123. That's right, episode 123. On this episode tonight, we are going to be recasting a film from 1993 that we talked about last week. That's right. We are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
That's right. Mike is back. We decided not to kick him off the show. We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we visit the year 1993 again and take a look at one particular classic. Classic, of course, is a relative term. To us, this is classic. I'm not sure to everybody. But we're going to be looking at the Western action flick Tombstone, based somewhat on a true story. We're going to be visiting the recasting couch again as we give our picks for the modern-day reboot of this Western favorite.
In Tombstone, crime ruled the streets. Violence stalked the innocent. And every stranger was your enemy. Until Wyatt Earp and his brothers arrived. And now, all hell is about to break loose. Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Bill Paxton, Jason Priestley, Sam Elliott, Dana Delaney, Michael Biehn, Powers Booth, Charlton Heston.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Justice is coming to Tombstone.
Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Go to Patreon and support the show. You can buy merch at teespring.com. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by helping us get out there. Download the episode, like it, review it, rate it, comment, downloads, subscribe, whatever. Just help us get out there. Help us get our numbers up.
Hey, we
And,
want to thank all those that did it already. Says Kevin's got a new laptop. Hey!
we can see his pretty face more clearly now. If you would like an entertaining social media account to go to, check out Oops All Ears Molly, so you can see some pictures of Kevin's dog on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she looks cuter than she is.
So, gentlemen, what are we drinking this evening?
I
I'll
am.
go first.
Oh,
I'll
go ahead,
go
Mike.
Mike, you go first. Go ahead.
Mike,
I
go
haven't been
first.
feeling good. I've been out. I've been home all day, not feeling well. So I've decided to try to drink my way out of being sick with some pumpkin spiced moonshine.
I thought you were going to say like a hot toddy.
No, pumpkin spiced moonshine. I'm going to sweat this bitch out.
I was going to say it's season appropriate.
Here's my glass of Robitussin.
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I am continuing through my seasonal case of Sam Adams, and last week I had Flannel Fest and Hops Lager. This week I'm starting off with Oktoberfest, and I'll have my dessert beer of Jacko. So
Nice. I tried to theme mine a little bit tonight, so I'm drinking a Hefe. No, I'm drinking a Hefe from Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw Brewing Company.
Fine Southern beer, the Yeehaw Brewing Company. They're Hefe. Drink Yeehaw. And if I finish that one and I have, feel like another one, I have the Yeehaw Dunkel as well.
Dunkel.
So I figured the Yeehaw was
From
cowboy
Gatlinburg,
appropriate.
Tennessee.
Thanks to Mike. So I like the Hefe. The Hefe is very nice, very good. It's like a little bit of bitterness, but it's not a bad bitterness. It's like a clove sort of flavor. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I like.
It's not a hoppy bitterness. It's a
no. It's just kind of like a little bit on like the tip of your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, anything special happened this week?
No.
He got sick.
This week in beer history.
Beer history? Was that on purpose, or did you like really just say beer history?
I fucked it up. Told you I'm not feeling well.
You really are sick, man. That's really good, though. We should do like this week in beer history. This week in beer history. Kevin has 2 beers on the show. Holy shit.
He's going down.
This week in beer history, Leo has beer on the show instead of a mixed drink. No, Mike, what happened this week in film history?
Since the first one's yours, I'll let you have that one, Lee.
The Writers Guild of America came to an agreement with the film industry to end a nearly 5-month strike. Finally, the writers got a contract that they could agree with and can get back to work. And we can start getting some new material, new content out there, hopefully.
Although, is it actually going to be real new material?
New material.
No reboots. And...
or at least some, new seasons of shows that I already watched.
I'm just looking forward to my late night shows coming back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And speaking of, new content, did you guys see the last episode of Ahsoka?
No,
yes.
Not yet.
You were home all day sick.
Yes, but I can't watch with Adrian if I'm sick.
You gotta watch with Adrian.
Yes.
What's the next one you got there, Mike?
In 1949, My Friend Irma premieres first of 16 films starring Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis.
Wow. I didn't know the name of their first movie. Now I do.
Yeah. Hey, lady!
The more you know.
In 1982, filming begins on Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery playing James Bond for the final time.
And this was the one that went up against the one with Roger Moore, right?
Yeah.
Which was
Roger Moore was the one and done, or was that Timothy Dalton?
No.
Neither one.
Roger Moore did the most films out of all of them, I believe.
Oh.
I think he beat Sean Connery by one film.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there an actor who only did one?
Yeah, that was George Lazenby, who was between Connery and Moore.
It was on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, that was his film. And
so
then,
when did Timothy Dalton play him?
He was the early 90s.
Yep. He
I
was
thought that
after
was Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan was after Timothy Dalton
and
because
before Roger.
Timothy Dalton was after Roger Moore, before Pierce Brosnan. They had wanted Pierce Brosnan, but he was under contract to do Remington Steele. So they went with Timothy Dalton instead. And then once his contract was up, they replaced Dalton with Pierce Brosnan.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I forgot what I was going to say.
Another fun fact.
Oh, I saw somebody posted on Twitter the other day a James Bond question. Which James Bond actor would you like to see in a different James Bond film? So the person was like, I would like to see Sean Connery on Her Majesty's Secret Service, but then see like Roger Moore in something else, and then Pierce Brosnan in one of the Timothy Dalton ones, and they were like switching up actors for the different Bond movies. I thought it was an interesting question. I'd have to think about it a little bit. I don't know, but I thought it was like an interesting James Bond question.
Well, any one of them besides Timothy Dalton or Lansbury can be in Her Majesty's Secret Service.
What's the next fact you got there, Mike?
In 1994, Ed Wood film directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp premiered.
I like Ed Wood. It's probably one of my top 5 Tim Burton films.
It's a quirky movie.
Well, I mean, it's about a quirky guy.
Yeah.
And it's played by a quirky actor, so it all makes sense.
With a quirky director.
Yeah. And the last one, speaking of James Bond.
And yep, another James Bond thing happened this week. 2021 James Bond film, No Time to Die, the last starring Daniel Craig, premieres after 18-month delay due to the pandemic.
Is that the last one with Daniel Craig? Or are they looking for another Bond now? Or
yeah, they're looking for a new Bond actor. And like I've heard Henry Cavill's name. I've heard
Idris Elba.
I heard Idris Elba because they were talking about possibly doing a black James Bond. I wouldn't mind Idris Elba. But I don't know. I don't know what they're planning on doing because they did, spoiler alert, kill James Bond at the end of that movie. So
I heard they were looking at Pauly Shore.
He gets blown up. Speaking of Pauly Shore, I know I said we'd never talk about Pauly Shore on the show again, but I like the thing you sent me the other day. Pauly Shore wants to do a biopic about Richard Simmons with him playing Richard Simmons.
I saw that.
I think he's jealous of the fact that Brendan Fraser has an Oscar now and thinks he might be able to get one. I don't believe that's going to happen, but Godspeed.
Hope alive.
Do you have a must-try week or year destination?
Yes. I have got a brewery, a women-led brewery. Let's support our women-led breweries this time. It's Scratch Brewing Company from Ava, Illinois. This brewery makes everything from scratch. That's the name. Co-owner Marika Josephson uses local ingredients, some grown on the farm, some foraged for the locally in the nearby Shawnee National Forest to craft farmhouse ales. Scratch was the name of one of the top 4 breweries for foraged ingredients beer by Outside Magazine and one of the most beautiful places to drink beer by All About Beer. There you go, guys.
I agree. You support those women-run breweries, but honestly, I'm not discriminatory. I don't care if it's run by a man, a woman, or a Martian.
Or a dog.
Or a dog. It's beer. It's beer.
It is. But,
there's a women's run brewery in Philadelphia. I want to say it's called City Love.
Okay.
And I went there once with Megan. We had a gift card for it. It was very good.
Where's that at?
It is off of Spring Garden, I want to say. Let me just double check.
On Lake Delaware Ave, along where some of those other breweries are, I'm guessing.
Yeah, kind of like where
like is it like where the Fillmore is?
It's in the it's around like where the old electric factory used to be in the Callow Hill section.
Yeah, because I know like Gooseneck is in the Fillmore shopping area. So
to look at it, it's kind of like down a side street. Actually, the outside of it kind of looks like an old firehouse. It's kind of cool.
Now that we've ostracized part of the audience with a very local specific topic, let's go to one of our favorite segments, the synopsis, according to Glip. Brought to you by Newsly.me. Newsly.me is an audio super app for iOS and Android that reads the news to you in a natural human voice. Stop scrolling, start listening. Go to Newsly.me today and use the promo code ANDForment to get your first month premium subscription for free. So according to Glip, last week, our tribute to movies turning 30 years old from 1993, where you guys competed against each other to name the movies that I poorly described. This is what Glip had to say the episode was about. Mike told Leo that the TV shows that were on in 1957, 76, and 82 were all about teenage boys.
I remember saying that.
Kevman and Mike discussed the election to the next president and the premiere of 2,302 and a Half Men. Mike is butchering the name of the beer. Mike and Leo spoke about Ron Howard. Leo and Kevman discussed the way the Glip synopsis interprets the information. Leo tries to poorly summarize plots so he can choose a new co-host, and the eye color is off-putting. All right, so let's break that down.
Mike knows what years the movies were about teenage boys.
Yeah, so it was your This Week in Film History was about all these TV shows that premiered in various years on the same day, and we made two jokes during that list, which was Charlie's Angels and Baywatch. We both said, and a million teenage boys grew up that day.
That day, yep.
And so that's where it interpreted that. You guys talked about the election of the new president in the West Wing.
Yes.
I know we mentioned 2.5 Men. I think it just got the number jumbled. It must have heard some numbers somewhere else in the show.
Yeah, but 2.5 Men was back with my name.
I know. I think it might have gotten like the year mixed up with the number because it looks like 2023 backwards.
2,302 and a half.
Yeah. Mike did butcher the name of a beer he talked about. Yeah. We did talk about Ron Howard again because that was the previous episode. Kevin did say something about how the Glip synopsis interprets the information. It almost got the main idea of the episode because I did some poorly summarized plot sentences so that you guys can guess the movies. And choosing a new co-host was the joke I made about whoever lost the contest. And the eye color is off-putting is from our extra material at the end of the episode where we were talking about Ahsoka. And I mentioned how Ezra's eyes were a little weird to me.
Yep.
So as always, that's our synopsis according to Glip. We're going to take a short break and play some messages from some of our podcast friends. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the 1993 Wild West classic Tombstone, and then we're going to recast some of the characters in the film for a modern-day reboot. We'll be back very shortly.
Hey movie lovers, it's Jackson here from the Back to the Blockbuster podcast. If you've ever wanted to hear an amateur cinephile and an industry professional chat about film and television, then look no further, because every week my co-host Gaius and I, we bring you the latest industry news, break down the most recent trailers, try to beat the box office with our weekly predictions, and dive into our favorite movies on their anniversaries. And every second Friday, you can look forward to the Back to the Blockbuster spin-off, Deep Dives with Owen and Gaius, where the duo dissects a movie of their own choice. All this and more wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back from our short break. We're going to be talking about the movie Tombstone from 1993, starring Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Dana Delaney, Paula Malcolmson, and as I put it in my notes here, sudden appearances by Michael Rooker, Jason Priestley, Billy Zane, Billy Bob Thornton, and Charlton Heston.
Thomas Hayden Church.
And Thomas Hayden Church. Yeah, I forgot him. Yeah, so it's like all these I heard the voice at the beginning, and I'm like, I know that voice. Holy shit, that's Billy Bob Thornton.
You forgot Billy Bob Thornton was in there?
Because he's like 3 Billy Bob Thorntons.
Yeah, he's a bigger guy.
Snapped around like a little bitch and everything.
Yeah, and he slapped the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that, it's been a while since I watched this, man. I forgot Billy Zane was the actor with Dana Delaney.
Yep.
I remember Jason Priestley being in it, but
He's the prettiest man I've ever saw.
Yeah, like I didn't remember his part too well. Michael Rooker is very young in this. And then
Yes.
I forgot that Charlton Heston plays the guy at the end who gives sanctuary to Doc Holliday when he gets, sick on the road and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, some surprise appearances in this film. But the main cast, as I saw it, and who we are recasting for, is Wyatt Earp, played by Kurt Russell, Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer, Virgil Earp, played by Sam Elliott and Sam Elliott's mustache, Morgan Earp, played by Bill Paxton, Curly Bill Brocious, leader of the outlaw band The Cowboys, played by Powers Booth, Johnny Ringo, a member of the Cowboys, and Doc Holliday's nemesis, played by Michael Biehn, Josephine Marcus, who's an entertainer visiting Tombstone and becomes involved with Wyatt Earp, played by Dana Delaney, and Maddie Blaylock Earp, Wyatt's common-law wife, addicted to laudanum, played by Paula Malcolmson. So for anybody who's never seen Tombstone before, it is loosely based on a historical event in which Wyatt Earp and his brothers and some other guys become the lawmen of the town of Tombstone and try to end the outlaw disruption brought about by a group of guys called the Cowboys, led by Curly Brocious, who was played by Powers Booth, in the town of Tombstone, Arizona. And it leads to the shootout at the OK Corral. Very famous shootout. I love that this movie doesn't end with the shootout at the OK Corral.
Yeah.
Like, historically, like, that was the beginning of what was their run of getting rid of these cowboy characters. And I like that
they were just about as outlaw as the outlaws were.
Yeah, kind of. And I like that they went with that in the film too. Like, they had the shootout, and then they continued the part where they hunted down the Cowboys. Yeah, like they're the lawmen, but then like you meet Val Kilmer's character. You love Doc Holliday; he's a great character. Val Kilmer
he was
well.
never a lawman.
But then you watch the very first scene. You're introduced to him. He stabs a guy to death over a gambling debt. Like he robs the bar, and then he leaves with his Hungarian woman. Yeah, but you end up rooting for him because Val Kilmer's just so goddamn charismatic in this film.
Little known fact: Young Guns was based off of the shootout at the OK Corral.
Was it?
No. No.
You never take it at face value when Kevin's throwing it at you. So I picked out some of like my favorite quotes from this movie because, like I said in the pre-show, this is
Young Guns is based on a historical event.
Yes,
the Lincoln County Wars.
Yeah, because it takes
Billy
the Kid and all that. This movie is very campy. The acting is a little over the top. The music is a little over the top. The action's a little over the top. But God damn, it's a fun movie. And I said that the only thing that keeps it from being like considered like maybe a B-list cult film is the cast.
Oh, come on. That picture on the from the movie poster, we see it in the movie. The four of them walking down the street and the fire going on behind them. That's just an awesome piece of footage.
This is almost the movie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'll give you an example of the campiness of it. When Wyatt Earp and Maddie Blaylock meet his brothers for the first time at the train station, and they start to walk away, he makes them stop and they look at their reflections in the window. And it's like the three men with the three women, and he's like, "Look at that picture, that's the beaut." And it was like, "Oh, goddamn, man, that is campy shit."
They didn't have a lot of looking glass back then. You know, they had to take their reflection when they could get it.
Well, you also had to think that this movie, even though it has a named director, was ghost directed by Kurt Russell.
That's the point I was going to say. Yeah.
So I picked out some. There's so many really good quotes in this film, though, too, and that's one of the things I think that we love about these movies and why we rewatch them so much is because they're so quotable. So I got at the beginning, like I said, when Doc Holliday robs the place, and he and his girl are leaving, he says to her, "I calculate that's the end of this town." They have to get out of there now. When he's looking really, really sick and Johnny Ringo challenges him about it, and he's like, "Not me. I'm in my prime." I think Doc Holliday mainly has the best quotes in the film. He gets in a gunfight with Ike and Billy Clanton, And they said that he has them outnumbered. He goes, "No, I have 2 guns, one for each of you."
My hypocrisy only goes so far.
My hypocrisy only goes so far. And when Johnny Ringo says he's going to kill him in their final duel that they have at the end, he's like, "You're a daisy if you do." And of course, his most famous quote is probably, "I'm your huckleberry."
I'm your huckleberry.
Which I looked up.
I've seen shirts with that on it.
Yeah, which means something along the lines of like, "I'm your man," or "I'm your guy," or "I'm the one you're looking for," sort of thing. It's not revenge he's after; it's a reckoning. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
The one I like was, "Where's Wyatt at?" "Over by the creek, walking on water."
Yeah. What's the other one? I already got a guilty conscience. Might as well have the money too. We'll make our fortune, boys. That's the whole reason Wyatt Earp comes to Tombstone, is he thinks he's going to make a fortune on silver.
Mm-hmm.
This is one, like, I was like, boy, this is such a Wild West, like Old West, like slang thing. When he's slapping around Billy Bob Thornton's character at the beginning, and Thornton's like threatening to pull the gun out and shoot him. He says, "This is Kurt Russell as Wyatt says, go ahead, skin it, skin that smoke wagon, and see what happens." Yeah, this is another Wyatt Earp quote. "Your friends might get me in a rush, but not before I make your head into a canoe."
That's when he got the gun right at the gun's head, yeah.
Yeah.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
He ain't lying. Where's the one? There's another one. Oh, shit, I can't find it now. I think you said already, Mike. My hypocrisy only goes so far. It's when he throws the badge down.
The badge.
Johnny Ringo at the beginning of the movie is translating what the priest is saying after they shoot up the wedding, and he's like, he's quoting the Bible, Revelations. "Behold a pale horse. The man who sat on him was death, and hell followed with him."
Hey Johnny, what would you sell for the devil? I already did it.
Yeah. So yeah, very highly quotable film. And my favorite quote, which is one that you kind of forget about, is when Doc is dying in the bed at the end, and he looks at his bare feet and he goes, "I'll be damned. That's funny," because he always thought he'd die with his boots on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good scene too, where he tells Wyatt Earp, "You got to go. I don't want you to be here when I go. Like, I want you to see me alive one more time," or whatever. I got a couple little trivia things here. The line that he quotes at the end, "I'll be damned," were his last words, according to the nurses that were taking care of him at the sanatorium. As we already said, Kurt Russell actually directed this film, sort of like as a ghost director. They actually used a false name in the credits. The name they gave him was, if I can find it now,
Pauly Shore.
George P. Cosmatos was the name that they used in the credits. And one more thing here. Oh, I forgot there was one other cameo in this. Robert Mitchum was supposed to appear in it, but was too sick to do so, but does provide the narration at the beginning and the end of the film.
Yeah.
So it's one other big name that appears in it. So, gentlemen, I decided, and I think you guys agree with me. Hold on one second. All right. So what I decided, and what I think you guys agree on, is that the cast I picked for this is the principal cast. I didn't include Billy Bob Thornton or Billy Zane or Jason Priestley, even though they've had fairly significant roles in the film. I wanted to try to narrow this down to the most important characters, and I wanted to make sure we had some actresses in there too. So I included the actress who played Wyatt Earp's wife, even though she doesn't have a super big role in it. It's more Dana Delaney as the lead actress. So,
all right.
So it's we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we'll start with the smallest character I have on this list. Smallest by the smallest role on the list. Maddie Blaylock Earp, who is Wyatt's common law wife. Her main character trait is that she's addicted to laudanum. and she's slightly younger than Wyatt, and is played by Paula Malcolmson in this film. So, who would like to go first and tell me their actress for that role? Okay, I'll go first since we're all
jumping at it.
so that we're not having dead air right now. I decided, so real quick, when I made my list, I was really happy with it at first, and then I looked through it and I was like, no, I have to change a couple of these. So then I changed a couple of them. And then not only did I change it a third time, what I did the third time was I took my Morgan Earp and my Wyatt Earp actors and switched them.
Oh,
Taking the Morgan Earp and making that the Wyatt Earp, and the Wyatt Earp and making him the Morgan Earp, because I was like, just so
Morgan
totally
was
like,
my hardest one to pick.
Which one?
Morgan. He was the hardest one to get. Yeah.
I decided to go with, without spoiling anything, actors who aren't like super famous.
Yeah.
So like I have actors that people would know, but who wouldn't like overtake the film with their stardom. You know, if you know what I mean. Like you wouldn't look
So
at
you're
them and
pulling
go,
a George Lucas, where you find,
they're not unknowns. I didn't go with like unknown actors. I went with people that people would know, but people who I thought, like if I put like Brad Pitt in a character, like it's fucking Brad Pitt. You know, like I think the actors I chose don't overtake the roles themselves, except for my actresses. I think they're probably the two biggest names I've put into the cast.
Ooh.
So for Maddie Blaylock Earp, I went with Elizabeth Olsen, who plays probably most famous for playing Scarlet Witch in the MCU films.
Yeah.
But I have seen her in a lot of films outside of the MCU, and I feel like she's really good at playing damaged characters that feel like they're not seen. She's just pretty enough, I think, without being like too pretty for the role. And I think she'd be really good at playing this sort of like damaged, overlooked character.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I went on the same basis. I went with an actress that has played damaged characters before, and can be really pretty, or when she's playing damage, could be really not as pretty. Anne Hathaway.
Okay. All right, I kind of get that.
Anne Hathaway I like Anne Hathaway, and I think she's like if you're thinking of like Les Mis.
Well, one of her first
one
of her first roles was not first, but an early role was as an addict. She played an addict, so
yeah, she was in a movie called I can't remember the name of the film, but I know the movie you're talking about. And like she started out with a pretty light career with the Princess Diary films, and then showed that she could be a really good actress.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched the movie that she was in the other day. I remember when it came out, and I didn't see it when it came out, and then I saw that it was on one of the channels, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to check this out." It's called Colossal, and she plays a woman who finds out that she is controlling a kaiju monster that's destroying Korea.
Wow!
Like every movement she makes controls the monster in Korea, and she doesn't know why.
Isn't that Pacific Rim?
It's well, there's no like big robots fighting her in it, but it was a really weird film. I mean, I obviously it probably sounds weird from the premise, but I watched it because I was like, wow, it seemed like a weird film for Anne Hathaway to be in. But anyway, Kev, what's your choice?
So for Maddie Blaylock Earp, I chose Alicia Vikander.
Oh,
yeah. I think she can play, somebody who's got an addiction problem. She's pretty, but still she can, somebody's getting the better of her. So, yeah.
I think most people would probably know her at this point from Tomb Raider, the last Tomb Raider reboot. She is an Oscar winner for The Danish Girl, so she is a good actress. And I've seen her in some of her early films where, she does play a lot of like damaged characters in her early films. So I think that's a good choice too.
Ex Machina is what I remember her from, but then
she's the one that the first robot that Oscar Isaac builds in that film. Oh man, she's incredible in that movie. That's a good movie, Ex Machina. So I went first on this one. So Kev, why don't you go first? Oh, you'll go first, Mike. Go ahead.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So this one, I originally had this one as my Maddie, but moved her because I think she could play this role better. But Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay. Yeah. Did anybody see her last film, the comedy?
The one shirt where she's paid to like date a kid or help him lose his virginity or something.
The parents pay her to date him to get him out of his shell.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
She does a straight up full frontal nude scene in that film.
No, she doesn't.
I swear to God, there's a scene where she and the guy are on the beach and she's trying to convince him to go skinny dipping to try to get him out of his shell. And so she takes all her clothes off and goes in the water. And then a group of kids come by and steal their clothes. And she runs out of the water and starts fighting with these kids, butt-ass naked, to get her clothes back. And it's like, God damn, Jennifer, like, of all the movies to do that in.
No, look, man, after all those photos of her were stolen and leaked online.
Well, honestly, if you need to see her in a very compromising position, just watch Red Sparrow.
Well, that makes it easier for her to do that one scene where she's in that sheer black. Get my picture taken.
No, I like the choice. I love Jennifer Lawrence anyway. I think she's aside from being a good actress, she seems like she's like a fun hang.
Yeah.
So, Kev, who do you have then for this?
For Josephine Marcus, I decided to go with Brie Larson. I think she can really play somebody who's an actress. You know, she's an actress who can play an actress. You know, and I think the connection she'd make with the guy I selected for Wyatt Earp could work out pretty well.
Nice. Okay. I like Brie Larson too, and she could play an entertainer. If you've ever seen Scott Pilgrim, she's the singer of that band. I can't remember the name of the band, but so my first choice for Josephine Marcus, the entertainer who becomes involved with Wyatt Earp, was Mike Anne Hathaway. That was my first choice. And then I changed it. I don't know why I changed it, but I just felt like this was a better choice. This is probably the biggest name I have in my cast. I feel like she's a classy actress. She's beautiful. She would play the part well. And wouldn't, even though she's the most famous actor in my cast, I don't think she would overtake the film too much. So I went with Emily Blunt.
Okay.
I love Emily Blunt. I could stare at Emily Blunt for 2 hours. So.
Well, yeah.
And I think she would play the part well. Yeah. Especially that line at the beginning when she sees Wyatt Earp for the first time and turns to Billie Zane and goes, "I want one."
I want one.
So the next character I have on the list here is Johnny Ringo, one of the
Johnny Ringo.
Yeah, one of the important members of the Cowboy Outlaw Band, the nemesis of Doc Holliday, played by Michael Biehn in the original film. Michael Biehn,
no relation to Sean Bean.
No relation to Sean Bean, different spelling. Michael Biehn is probably best known for playing Kyle Reese in the original Terminator film, as well as one of the soldiers in Aliens. Michael Biehn should have had a bigger star in Hollywood, I think, after the 80s, but I don't know what happened.
Well, he is also a bean that dies in almost every role.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah. All right, we had 3 movies right there that he died in. Well, actually, he doesn't die in Aliens.
Dead.
He doesn't die in Aliens. No, he's dead at the beginning of Aliens 3. Because they couldn't afford everybody for the cast of Aliens 3. Poor David Fincher. So for Johnny Ringo, I'll go first on this one.
Oh, no, wait. It should be
Kevin, yeah, if you want to. Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot. Go ahead, Kev.
That's right. I chose another Johnny for Johnny Ringo. I chose a Johnny Depp for Johnny Ringo.
Okay.
I think he could do it well. I mean, when you look at
Tim Burton directing the film,
he doesn't only do Tim Burton films. But when you look at the swagger, you know, the cockiness that Johnny Ringo had, you know, provided by Michael Biehn, Sean Bean, Eric Bean, whatever Bean. I think Johnny Depp could pull off that swagger, that cockiness, you know. He is a big name. I don't know if a side character to the Cowboys is
I don't
really
know,
up his alley, but
considering his reputation is in question again, he might be taking side characters soon.
Yeah, well, I considered Johnny Depp for Doc, but didn't use him.
Okay.
Considered him.
I can
Didn't
see
use
that
him.
because it's such a quirky character. Like, it probably would
Yeah.
fit him. So am I going next or Mike?
You are.
I am? Okay. So I went for Johnny Ringo. Mike, I went in a different direction. I went with a TV star
Ooh.
who I feel should be a movie star in some respect.
Okay.
Scott Bakula.
Probably best known for playing Dean Winchester in Supernatural, and currently playing Soldier Boy on The Boys. I went with Jensen Ackles.
I can see that.
He has the attitude, the swagger, a little bit of that southern, cowboy accent, and I feel like he would be really good in like a quick draw shootout with whoever my Doc Holliday is.
I can see it. I
And
like that.
it's a smaller role, but an important role. So it's like the kind of thing that would kind of hopefully maybe propel him into something bigger. Of course, it didn't work out for Michael Biehn, so who knows?
Look, so I picked my Johnny Ringo as someone who could play off my Doc,
Mm-hmm.
and someone who could play the role and has a swagger. I went with Leo DiCaprio.
Again, I don't know if Leo's fallen down far enough that he would take a side role like that yet.
No, but he can play it.
I
he
think
can play the bad guy and the cockiness.
I know, but if you're going to throw a role at Leo, I would think like Curly Bill Brocious maybe instead, like the leader of the Cowboys.
I actually think Johnny Ringo is the bigger role.
It is, but I don't know. I mean, again, this is hypothetical casting. It's not like we're going to get this fucking movie made anyway.
Oh, yeah,
You don't have the budget for these people,
we barely have the budget for the podcast.
I mean, no studio could afford the cast I have, okay? I know that.
That's why I kind of went with like a smaller known cast for mine, So the next one then is Curly Bill Brocious, the leader of the Cowboy Outlaws. In the film, it's played by Powers Booth, who has made a career out of playing villains in films.
Yes.
With a name like Powers Booth, I don't think he had a choice. Am I going first then?
You are.
Okay. I'm just going to cut to the chase. I was struggling with this one a lot, and I said, you know what? I just need a big guy who could be intimidating, but also a little bit funny in like a sort of sinister way. I haven't really seen him play a bad guy yet, so I'd like to see him play a bad guy. So I went with David Harbour, best known as Hopper from Stranger Things.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah, and I think he could do the facial. I think he could do the facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
He's also about the same age Powers Booth was when he did this film. So,
Okay. So I did the same thing. Someone big, intimidating, but can also be funny when he needs to be. I went with Tom Hardy.
I actually thought about Tom Hardy. I actually thought about Tom Hardy for Brocious and Earp. Like, do I want him as the villain or the good guy? Like I couldn't make up my mind on that. So I ended up that's why I ended up going with Harbour.
Interesting.
No, I like that one because I love Tom Hardy too. He can do anything. So.
I love Tom Hardy as well. His name may come up again in the future. I don't know.
So who do you got then for Curly Bill Brocious then, Kev?
I went with somebody who I thought could be villainous, but also kind of funny, I guess, because Curly Bill does have his moments of like, fairness and stuff. I went with Benicio del Toro.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like it because it gives a little diversity to the cast, and we know that Benicio can play a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know who else might be good too? And I'm thinking like Benicio del Toro. If you want to go with like a Spanish actor who can play a villain, like Javier Bardem as well.
Yeah,
would probably be a really good one.
Let me just make sure I took him off my list. Yes, I did. For John, one person I had thrown around either for Curly Bill or Johnny Ringo was Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I thought he might have worked out with either one of those roles.
I admittedly am not very diverse in my cast, but I'm
I'm not either.
going. I went more with like
Historical.
accuracy to the historical characters. So
Yeah.
So the next one then is Morgan Earp, who is the younger brother of Wyatt and Virgil, and is killed by the Cowboys, Curly and his men. He's played by Bill Paxton in the original film. So who's going first now then?
Game over, man.
Mike,
Game over.
Yeah, so go ahead, Mike.
So this was probably the hardest one because I needed somebody that was younger than the two actors I have as his older brothers. So I went with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay. I thought of Jake for Wyatt as well. I think I went through like every actor in Hollywood that's in like his 30s and 40s for Wyatt because I couldn't figure it out. But yeah, I like that one. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. He's like late 30s, I think, so he'd probably be around the age that Bill Paxton was at the time.
And he could be a little more quiet because that's a more quiet character. Than
I said like I've seen him play intense characters, but he's also played, like down to earth characters as well.
Yeah.
And Morgan Earp's kind of like a
more down to earth. Yeah,
he's a little down to earth, but he also kind of like tries to impress the big brothers a little bit in the film
He's
as
the
well.
young buck that's trying to impress everybody.
Yeah. So who's next, May or Kev?
Who went first? The last
Kevin.
one. Okay.
So Kevin's next.
Yeah, so it's my turn. So with Morgan, I was also thinking younger and not, kind of rushes into trouble. I went with Chris Pratt.
I thought about Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you neither of you will guess who I have for mine.
Steve Carell.
Yeah, right. I, again, decided to go with an actor who's got a name, but who's not as well known as some of the other actors out there. I also originally had this guy as Wyatt Earp, but then switched him to Morgan Earp. And he is part of cowboy film royalty. So I went with, for Morgan Earp, Scott Eastwood, son of Clint Eastwood.
Ooh.
Looks a lot like Clint Eastwood did when he was in his 30s. Has not done a lot of like major film roles. Most of his early work was in Clint Eastwood films.
Scott Pilgrim.
Well, I was saying were in films that Clint Eastwood directed. He sort of branched out a little bit and done some more films, but mostly like supporting character roles, which I think is good since this is a supporting character role.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives a little, like I said, a little bit of legacy to the film, knowing that you have an Eastwood in there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So then the next one would be Virgil Earp, the older brother of Wyatt, played by Sam Elliott in the film. He is wounded in a gunfight and cannot help out later in the film, but played wonderfully by Sam Elliott, who's always good in roles like this because it's a role he's born to play.
And this is Kevin's turn.
Is this Kevin's turn to go first then?
Yep.
I was trying to think of who could fit that mustache. Somebody that could fit that mustache could fit that role. Alas, though, I don't think he might be able to. The man's pulled off a lot. And I did initially think Gary Oldman, but I thought he was way too old for Virgil, so I went instead with Joaquin Phoenix.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He's close to 50 now. I think he's like 49. So I don't know how old Sam Elliott was at the time. I would venture to say he's probably around that age, in his 50s.
Hasn't Sam Elliott been the same age since I've ever seen him in film?
The youngest I've ever seen Sam Elliott was in Roadhouse. And I'm pretty sure they use hair dye. I saw a picture of him. I think was it Megan the other night showed us a picture of him without the mustache when he was very young.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very odd to see him that way.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like that. I like that. Joaquin Phoenix is always kills it in his roles.
Yeah.
Am I next then?
You are next.
Okay. I again went with somebody who is probably better known for TV roles, but has been in some movies. Somebody I know has some swagger, who is older than the other actors I chose, but not too much older, who can carry the facial hair.
Tony Danza.
And who is Tony Danza? Can you imagine him in a Western film? Oh, Wyatt, hey, Angela. So I went with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, probably right now best known as playing Negan in The Walking Dead, but also we have another Supernatural connection there, Mike, since he played Dean and Sam's father in Supernatural.
Yep.
So I went with Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Okay.
He's also kind of tall and thin, like Sam Elliott is too.
So I went older. I don't know if he can pull off the mustache, but he can pull off the same type of, character that Sam Elliott played. I went with Liam Neeson.
There you go.
Okay.
He did play a cowboy in A Million Ways to Die in the West. With Seth MacFarlane. He didn't drop the Irish accent, but he was still pretty good in it. No, I can see that though, because he does have that tall lankiness, but still kind of intimidating. He can play a softer character when he needs to. I don't know if the facial hair is important. I'm not saying they have to have the mustache.
Well, they have to have the handlebar mustache for the.
I mean, you could always do like the fake mustache too. He doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood makeup is pretty good right now.
Yeah.
That takes us to the top two, probably the two most important characters in the film. Doc Holliday, Wyatt's best friend and outlaw himself, a skilled gunman, played by Val Kilmer. It's hard to try to guess who else could play this because Val Kilmer fucking kills it in this film. I mean, Dennis Quaid played him in the Wyatt Earp film and played him very well, but it was a much different take on the character than Val Kilmer had.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer plays him more as like almost like a jester, a little bit. So who's first on this one?
You are.
I am.
Yep.
All right. I went back to the MCU well.
You and me both.
Sebastian Stan, best known as the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Bucky Barnes.
Bucky Barnes, yeah.
Bucky Barnes. I think he has this sort of young Val Kilmer look to him. Sort of has that young Val Kilmer look to him. Can be the serious character as well as sort of the comical character too. I think he can pull it off, and it doesn't have to be the same interpretation. Obviously, it doesn't have to be like Val Kilmer.
No.
So I wanted to go outside the box a little bit on that. So Sebastian Stan.
I went real outside the box on mine. I think he can play the character. I just don't know if he can get away from the role he's in now. But I went with Tom Hiddleston as Doc Holliday.
I like that. I like it because Tom Hiddleston's, I mean, everybody probably knows him from Loki now, but he is a really good actor.
I think he can do all the nuances and all the little cup trick. And
can he do the Western accent, you think?
He's done impressions. He's pretty good with the impressions he's done.
He is. I heard him do an impression of, he was on a talk show with Robert De Niro once. It was it was the Graham Norton show in England. He was on there with Robert De Niro. He did the entire scene from Heat where De Niro and Pacino talk to each other in the coffee shop. He did a word for word rendition of that scene, playing both De Niro and Pacino for Robert De Niro. It was so fucking meta. So yeah, he'd probably be really good at that. Mike,
I think him and Leo would play off of each other as Ringo really well.
Kev, who'd you have for Doc?
So out of left field, I picked Sean Bean because he's the only character that dies in the movie.
And they're out in the field.
No.
He should have played Morgan then if you want someone to die.
or curly Brocious or whatever.
One does not simply walk to the OK Corral.
So who do you actually got?
You will be my Huckleberry. Actually, I dipped into the DC EU, and I pulled out Tom Hardy for.
Okay. So you said you were going to have Tom Hardy in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought of
I
Tom
think
Hardy for Wyatt. You have him for Doc. Mike has him for Curly, right? So we all had Tom Hardy in mind somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think Tom Hardy's a great choice too. I also thought of maybe Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
I thought maybe him too.
I think it was Tom Hardy's character in Peaky Blinders that kind of had me thinking, a little eccentric.
Then maybe Cillian Murphy could have did it too. Could have played a good character like that. That brings us to the most important character in the film, Wyatt Earp, former lawman turned U.S. Marshal, fought at the OK Corral, played by Kurt Russell, who also quietly directed this film. Who's going first this time?
I am.
All right, Mike, who do you got?
Well, this one took some thought. I picked a guy that could go dark because, he could be, Wyatt was a little dark in the end, but also can have the other, bright spots. I went with Christian Bale.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah.
He, of course, was in the remake of
Pretend to
Yuma. Yeah, so he's done the Western thing before. We know he can play. He can play an American accent.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Can he pull off the mustache though?
I think he can.
Makeup.
No, it's a cool.
I was thinking of him because he's got like the eyes too. That was
probably the only actor I didn't think of for a while. Kev, why don't you go next? I want to save mine for last.
We already know who you are. You already told us.
I think Christian Bale and Tom Hiddleston who play well together as Doc and.
I didn't tell you who mine was yet. I didn't give it away. I just said
that you said Tom.
No. I thought about him for it and then considered somebody else.
I see.
So who do you have then? I want to save mine for last.
So I actually looked at Kurt Russell's eyes, the eyes of Wyatt Earp, and I was trying to think of somebody else who could be gruff and commanding, and I went with Joel Edgerton.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
He's somebody who you don't think of for like starring roles usually.
No.
Yeah, he was Uncle Lars in the Phantom Menace and the original in the prequel trilogy.
Right, but he also played in The Great Gatsby. He was also in what was the other one I was thinking of that really kind of solidified it for me? Was it Red Sparrow? No, it wasn't Red Sparrow. It was Exodus. He was.
He was.
He was Ramses.
Yeah. Against Christian.
He was also in Zero Dark 30. Yeah.
No, I like that's an out of the box one. I like that.
Yeah.
So for mine, I'm like proud of myself, and I don't know why. I originally had this guy as Morgan Earp, and had Scott Eastwood as my Wyatt, and then I decided to put Scott Eastwood as Morgan Earp because I wanted this guy to play the lead character, because I again wanted to do another legacy pick, another cowboy legacy pick, cowboy actor legacy pick here. In the role of Wyatt. No, in the role of Wyatt Earp. All right. Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son.
Oh my God.
Best known as the fake me out Captain America and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yay! Legacy pick.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I see it. It's Kurt fucking Russell's son. He looks more like Goldie Hawn. He's the same age Kurt Russell was when he did this movie. He's named after the goddamn character. Wyatt Russell is Wyatt Earp.
Not sure about that one, but that's your choice. That's okay.
Fuck both
your choice.
I edit the show. I can just cut out every opinion you have. So let's
show if you did that.
let's recap then. So my Wyatt was Wyatt Russell. Doc Holliday, Sebastian Stan. Virgil Earp was Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Morgan Earp, Scott Eastwood. Curly Bill Barocious, David Harbour. Johnny Ringo, Jensen Eccles. Josephine Marcus, Emily Blunt. And Maddie Blaylock Earp, Elizabeth Olsen. Mike, what's your recap?
Wyatt Earp, Christian Bale, Doc Holliday, Tom Hiddleston, Virgil Earp, Liam Neeson, Morgan Earp, Jake Gyllenhaal, Curly Bill, Tom Hardy, Johnny Ringo, Leo DiCaprio, Josephine Marcus, Jennifer Lawrence, and Maddie Blake Earp, Anne Hathaway.
Mm-hmm. And Kev, here's your recap.
I went with Joel Edgerton for Wyatt Earp, Tom Hardy for Doc Holliday, Joaquin Phoenix for Virgil Earp, Chris Pratt playing Morgan Earp, Benicio del Toro playing Curly Bill Barocious, Johnny Depp playing Johnny Ringo, Brie Larson playing Josephine Marcus, and Alicia Vikander as Maddie Blaylock Earp.
I really like the Alicia Vikander. That's a good one.
You know what? I'm going to have to say, guys, I'm a little surprised none of us went with like Hugh Jackman as like anybody, because he was he came out and I was going through the list of actors who could do it. And I was like, yeah, he could kind of pull it off. He's done gruff man before.
My main thing was I didn't want to pick Ana de Armas or Florence Pugh for anything because I picked them for everything. The only character I actually thought about doing like a race change on, even though it would have been historically inaccurate, was Johnny Ringo. I thought a little bit about maybe doing that one as sort of like a race change because I like putting Donald Glover into my movies. Mm-hmm. And I thought he could have been a good Johnny Ringo. He probably could have been a good Doc Holliday too, but that really would have been pushing it. So. Mike, do you have any beer history for us this evening?
I do. The first half of the Middle Ages between 500 and 1000 AD saw brewing begin to pick up in Europe. Monasteries converted convents started centralized brewing production in contrast to the previous tendencies for each household to produce its own beer, because part of the brewing process involved boiling the beer for a length of time. Beer was usually much safer to drink than water.
Why I like my beer. So thank you for joining us tonight for episode 123, Recasting Tombstone. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. I encourage everybody to go out there on Twitter and take a look at our account after the airing of this episode. I'm going to be posting our picks for the recasting, and I'm going to have people vote on Twitter on who they thought had the best casting choices for this show, and we'll talk about it on the next program. Don't forget.
How was your drink? How was your beer?
My beer was good.
Mike's over here trying to correct me now. He's the sick motherfucker, and I'm forgetting segments. Dude, I have to pee so bad right now. I'm trying to get through everything really quickly.
Well,
so Kev, how was your drink this evening?
My beers. Let me talk about my beers.
You shouldn't
what can I say? No, they were very good. I'm glad I finished with Jacko. Jacko is a good beer. I think I do have a new favorite pumpkin beer, which we tried last weekend, 2 weekends ago. The whole hog pumpkin pie one. That was really good. So this is good though. The Jacko from Sam. So
Mike, did your pumpkin spice moonshine wake up your senses a little bit?
Well, I don't ache as much, but I'm still feeling like shit.
And I did a double dose of Yeehaw beers. I have the Hefe and the Dunkel, both of which were very tasty. Enjoyed them both.
Good.
So, Mike, is there anything else I forgot, or can I close the show out?
No, you can close the show now.
Thank you for joining us tonight for episode 123, Recasting Tombstone. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Make sure you check out Twitter after the posting of this episode. I'm going to put our casting choices up there and have you all vote on them, and we'll talk about who had the best casting choices on our next episode. Don't forget, you can email us at filmsoffermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsoffermentation. Find all of our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films of Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. Please don't forget to download, subscribe, view, link, comment, like, rate, review, whatever. Help us get our name out there, please. And make sure you stop by the crossroads between pickled and fermented next week for episode 124. We're calling this the birthday episode because Kevin, Mike, and I all celebrate our birthdays in the month of October.
It's our birthday. It's our birthday.
Mike is October 13th, correct, Mike?
That's correct.
Kevin, you are October 16th?
24.
Close enough.
What is it?
Go ahead, Mike.
You're closer to me, right?
It is 24.
Yeah, that's right. You're closer to mine. And my birthday, I think, is October 28th.
Check the records.
Last I checked, I think it was October 28th. So since we are all celebrating our birthdays this month, we're doing a birthday episode. We're going to talk about the 5 films that each of us watched the most as children. So we're going to go back to our childhood.
Our VHSs.
Yes, what movies burnt out the VHS? Yeah. For me, it was Porky's.
Not teenage years, child years.
No, I couldn't get enough of that when I was 6. So make sure you join us next week for that special birthday episode. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. I rewatched Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we started, I was trying to rewatch just like a few scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Tubi is fucking awful.
Oh.
I had to watch it on Tubi, and every time I tried to fast forward to a scene, it cut the commercial.
Of course. Anything that has a commercial.
It's
It's a commercial. You fast forward, it has commercials.
At least like when I watch it on like Paramount or Peacock, they'll play like, 3 minutes worth of commercials at the beginning, but then cut them out the rest of the show.
I asked my film appreciation class with help on, and none of them had seen. One kid had seen it, maybe, and then I showed him a trailer. 1993 was not the greatest year for movie trailers.
Dude, I forgot how campy this movie is.
Yeah,
I mean, I love it. It's a fun movie. It's a great movie, but man, between the music, the acting. It's like, if it wasn't for the cast, this would be a B movie.
yeah.
It's only slightly elevated by the cast that it has. I was trying to remember what I was going to say, but that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking do like the actresses first, and then work our way from like Johnny Ringo up to Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, because Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday are really the stars. So
yeah, I mean they're the 2 most important characters. So yeah.
I thought Morgan was.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know that
Whenever it's Bill Paxton, he's the
Bill
star.
Paxton is always the most important character in every movie.
Uh-huh.
Especially if it's a
Even a movie he's not in.
yeah. Especially if it's a James Cameron movie.
Yeah. I have Hey everybody, welcome to Films of Fermentation.
Yeehaw.
I'm your host, Leo.
I'm Kevin.
And
Hi, Michelle.
This is our new host, Bradley.
No, I'm Michelle. I am Michelle. My name is Michelle. Okay, get it right.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to be gender fluid for your new role? Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna do that for real now. Here we go.